Today we're going to be running a TFT experiment, and no, I'm not talking about the trait. I'm talking about knowing the differences between Master 0 LP and Challenger. But in this video, we're going to be going even deeper than that because we're going to be comparing Master 0 LP versus someone who is going to be competing in the World Championships. To spice things up even further, we're going to be covering a reroll comp because everyone says reroll comps are so easy, which they are. I'm not saying they're not, but a lot of people are thinking, can I play reroll comps as good as the highest level players? Yes or no? And sometimes it's true, you can, and sometimes it's not. So we're going to figure out that difference here today. What are some of the stylistic choices they make in terms of their items? What types of augments are they picking? What units are they holding? When do they even decide to go for that reroll comp? We're going to be figuring all that out today. So let's just get right into this. We're going to start off with the Masters game. This person submitted a video, and I think they just hit Masters very recently, so congratulations to them. But let's look at the start of this game. So they got Blitzcrank and Kog'Maw. Those units got buffed in the recent patch because Automata got buffed. I wonder if there's like an angle to kind of play for them. Don't really have the Rage Blade or any of the generic Kog'Maw items quite yet with the sword and the belt. But off this last neutral round, gets a tier. And by the way, we're on Savika's portal. And in this portal, you get random loot every stage. So we have Ghost of Friends Pass, Unexpected, Unexpectedness, Going Long, and Prismatic Ticket. Okay, let's see what they take here. Personally, for me, I really love Going Long. I think it's just like a auto decent placement, but wow, Expected, Unexpectedness. Let's see what they get. This one's really wild. I've taken this one twice, I believe, and okay, they got a Smeech too. I'm guessing this is why they played a Smeech game, because you started the game with a Smeech too. I was about to say, if they took Prismatic Ticket and just forced Ambusher reroll for fun, I would have been a little disappointed because they don't have any of the Ambusher units. And I know they're playing Ambushers because they put it in the title of their video. However, because they took this and then went into that, I'm actually proud of them. I was actually going to be very disappointed if they just took Prismatic Ticket and hard forced something because they saw it in a tier list or something like that. Like, people might be doing that with Zeri nowadays. They might just see any reroll augment and be like, all right, I'm forcing Zeri right away. But this person might actually be playing around what they get, which I really, really like. Okay, I don't know about that. They put a sword on Smeech, a belt on their, what was it, the Vander. I personally would have just built the Sterix. I think it's a perfectly fine item on Smeech. Is it Smeech's best item by far? Probably not. Like, you probably want the Bloodthirster, Hand of Justice, things like that. But I definitely do think it's in the good enough point where if you build it early, like on stage 2-1, you have it the entire game, right? And then with that, you're able to get like some win streaks going, get a lot more gold, and save a lot of your health so that you can build a much stronger board later on in the game. And keep in mind, at this point, not many teams can compete with a 2-star 3 cost with an item, right? That's actually like a pretty tall order. So I would have liked to see that, but you know, can't really fault going for perfect items either, because sometimes in a reroll comp you really do need those perfect items. But I think Smeech is an exception. He doesn't have any like super duper duper must-have items apart from like having some form of healing and some form of damage. Compare that to Kog'Maw, which we saw earlier. Kog'Maw absolutely needs something like a Rage Blade or like an Archangel Staff, right? Smeech is a little more flexible, You may have noticed another mistake in terms of the positioning here. Putting your damage unit on the outside edge where they are able to take damage first is a big mistake. You generally want to put them in between your units that are tanking, or all the way on the edge where it's like top left or top right. That way not too many people can focus onto them, because in this past fight, the Smeech was focused down by 3 units, and that's not ideal, right? You want your tanks tanking, your DPS units DPSing. These are kind of like micro mistakes, nothing too crazy. Like, I can't really fault people for just like defaulting units onto a board, right? It's just like the start of the game. People are kind of autopiloting, but you always gotta be careful. Every step of TFT, you could gain some sort of advantage over someone else. So that's what I would have been doing differently there. I like the team planner. I was about to mention they did not set up their team planner yet because the powder showed up in shop and wasn't really having that little marker that shows that it's part of your team. And having the team planner is a great and easy way to just improve your rolling abilities, take your mind at ease, and just set yourself up for like a much more fluid match. So they're doing that now. I'm guessing they get their team comps from bunnymuffins.lol/meta, because that looks like a lot similar to what I have on my website there. So that's good on them. Unfortunately, though, they do seem to be losing a lot of these early game rounds. And granted, I know a lot of these other boards are decently strong because they are prismatic augments at the start of the game. And it's kind of hard to win streak in these games unless you get something absolutely ridiculous because there's going to be one person high rolling. But I don't really think they face that one person who was high rolling. And yeah, like just down a lot of life. Not necessarily for no reason, but it is like a little risky. I'm guessing they're going to take the glove here for the Hand of Justice. Going for the bow on Smeech might not be a bad thing either, but I think finishing off the glove, Hand of Justice, going to be very solid for their team. Arguably, though, I think since they are lose streaking now, it could be viable to just take the Smeech, right, if you are hard forcing this comp. Personally, I think I would take the Hand of Justice just because Hand of Justice is by far the best item in this build, and you want as many of them as you can. But I think it could be argued. Maybe you go for the Smeech there, make it a little easier on your roll down. So that would be kind of nice. Also, when you are playing expected unexpectedness, I often don't like forcing a comp because they give me all sorts of nonsense later on, and it could really mess up your game. So be very careful when playing this augment. I would play this augment as flexibly as I can, use this Smeech as an item holder, and then pivot into something else later on if you potentially get something that's a little not optimal for the Smeech. So I like this positioning. They moved the Smeech back a little bit. Probably could put Powder between the Vander and the Violet, but not the biggest deal because who really cares about this Powder? As long as she casts, barely. But at least the Smeech is able to go off a little bit. I don't think they win this round because it's level 4 versus level 5. And also, this is one of the high rollers that we were talking about before. They have a 2-star Tristana in the back line. Granted, they have level up, so it doesn't give them that much more combat abilities, but 2-star Tristana is able to compete with a 2-star Smeech because it's 2 cost versus 3 cost. It's not as big of a difference between like a 1-star 1 cost versus a Smeech, which we faced a lot of in the earlier parts of the game. All right, nothing too interesting in this shop. We'll have to see what comes up in the next expected unexpectedness. I'm going to guess that this game is going to be a little bit extra wacky because, again, Savika's Portal gives random loot at the start of each round or each stage. So that plus expected unexpectedness could end up having some weird outcomes. But they're able to win this round. You don't want to win this round. It's not their fault. They're facing someone who's like hard econing. They have hedge fund. They probably have like 70 gold or 80 gold at this point in the game already. But I don't like this position that this player's in right now because they lost 4 rounds and then won the last one. I can't think of a worse situation. Let's see what loot they get, though. They get a Negatron. Okay, that could be Bloodthirster, very solid. I would wait, but, you know, yeah, they're probably building Bloodthirster anyways. You get a Rod, not good. Chain and Belt, not great. Not gonna lie there. All right, Zoe and Shop, they get a Spatula. And what do they get from the emblem? Oh, gold. That's very, very nice. They could level up to level 7 very, very soon and then start their rolling. Oh, they accidentally leveled 1 too many times. It's okay. Not the end of the world. You lose a gold there, though. That's just an honest mistake. You got to be careful when you play, though. You can't make these like silly mistakes because I know that it happens. We're humans, right? Like I do the same thing too, right? But maybe I do it 1 every 50 games versus 1 every 20 games, right? So you have to just be patient, play a little slowly, take your time. Like during that stage on 3-1, you're not doing anything anyways. So there's no reason to like rush things, right? Like you have to be consistent, not just with TFT, but with everything in life. And then things ideally would go a lot better when that happens. So against this player, it looks like they're going to take a win. That's nice. We could start like a win streak here. Again, if you had items on Smeech from before, I bet you would win like quite a few rounds. So what are we going to do with this Spatula? It could build a lot of different things. Hopefully with this expected unexpectedness and the Savika thing, you might get another one and end up building like a crown or something like that. But we got some nice options here. Mentorship's pretty good. Rig Shop's pretty good. Yeah, reroll the right one. They're going to go for Rig Shop. I think both the middle and left one are solid picks. Obviously, if you're going 3 cost reroll, Rig Shop might be a bit better. So I do like that choice there. Yeah, just get Rig Shop. And let's see what we get. So they're fixing their positioning mistake from before, which was putting Smeech on the back line without access to the front line. But again, as I said before, you want your melee carries generally not being targeted first that quickly, like by too many units. For Smeech, since he jumps around, he could be put in the center. Oftentimes with melee carries, you put them top left or top right, and that way they take a little bit of damage so that they could lifesteal it back and get value from that, and also still be in the front line. But with Smeech, he could be in the middle because he jumps around a lot and eventually gets targeted anyways. So there are a few options on Smeech. I guess I'm trying to say that positioning on Smeech is a little less important than it is for other melee carries, because he doesn't really wrap around. Like, look, he casts his ability and then he jumps around. He doesn't need to do that whole like wrapping mechanic. So he's able to clean up this fight here. 2-game win streak. Very nice stuff. Unfortunately, missing gold again. 47 out of 50 gold. So we've lost 2 gold already due to rolling a little too much or pre-leveling a little too much. Okay, never mind. They make it back up. I don't think they actually need those units anyways, because you're really running 5 ambushers, running some watchers with the Garen, running enforcers sometimes, running some firelights. It really depends on who your secondary carry is. When you do play ambushers, you don't want to solo carry when you play ambushers. Like when you're playing Camille, you want Camille and Smeech. When you're playing Echo, you want 2 Echoes. When you're playing Smeech, you want Smeech plus like literally anything else. It could be Echo sometimes it could be Camille. Generally, I'm using Echo though. Sometimes it could even be Jinx. But what are we gonna do for this next carousel? I think you want to either build like an Edge and Knight, Titan's Resolve for the Smeech, or go for like a Firelight emblem with a glove plus the spatula. That could be very powerful, and then you end up running like 4 Firelights potentially. It makes your Echo very, very durable, and obviously your Scar is gonna be very durable too. But I think we need to slam some items here, because we have 4, 5 item components not built. Probably just build the Warmogs, you know? Like, I know tank items aren't that important in an ambusher comp, because you're mainly focused around itemizing Echo and your Smeech, but what are these 2 belts going to do for you? You could also build maybe a Morellonomicon with the belt plus rod. That way you get the anti-heal effect. I know Powder gives built-in anti-heal, but she dies really, really quickly, so having the consistency on having it on someone else is nice sometimes. I'm not saying it's mandatory, but all I want is to get value from these items, because they're going to be unbuilt for most of the game when you play like this, so I just want to build them as soon as possible. So he opts to go for the Titan's Resolve instead of the Edge and Knight. I think both items are fine. I don't really find too much of a difference between them. When you do have 2 healing items, probably the Titan's Resolve is a little bit better. But if you have a lot of damage items and need more durability, then obviously the Edge and Knight is going to be better. So I do like this. Getting the Titan's Resolve, very nice stuff. Gets a Vander 2-star, levels up, sure. Then, yeah, just put in this Loris, why not? There isn't really too much to put in right now. Could maybe play like an Aurelia, get the Sentinel, but this last unit, it could be like a second Smeech even, or a second Scar. I think either would be fine. Yeah, probably Scar over this Vlad would be better, but it is what it is. Just build the Warmogs. I believe in you, because yeah, you just need to build items. I know there are better things to build. You probably want like guard breakers. You want maybe an even shroud. Like, I know there are items that are like better than Warmogs, but you need to get value off your items. We had these items that could be built since stage 3-1, so we're missing out on 5 fights on them now. That's a lot of value you're missing out on. That's like all those games you lose by 1 or 2 HP, sometimes even like maybe this costs 10 HP. Who knows, right? If it turns the tide of one fight, it could be as big as 10 HP. And it's going to be hurting. It's going to be hurting. And you'll always look at these moments, be like, oh, maybe if I built the item earlier, I would have been able to save myself. And that's kind of where these differences come from. All right, do some slow rolling, pick up the powder, sure. Still 1-star powder, I didn't even notice that till now. But yeah, keep rolling. There's the rig shop, nothing rigged about that, because none of the units we wanted showed up. Unlucky, unfortunate. You can keep rolling a little longer. Okay, there's a Garen, huge, huge, huge. Garen's absolutely incredible. Put him in over the Loris. You don't really need Loris, so I don't think the Enforcers are that important in this comp, because the reason why you play Enforcer in an ambusher comp is because you're running Camille reroll, and in this case we're running Smeech as a carry. Camille doesn't even matter, so you don't even need the Enforcer. This might be a little too tunneling on a certain comp and like just copying a team builder, not necessarily knowing why or when to put in a unit. If I had to guess, I think this player probably doesn't play ambushers that much and just plays it because they got a good spot for it, so that's good. Normally when you play flex, like, you get better openers because you go for a comp that's like better for your comp. I wish I had a more eloquent way of explaining that, but essentially when you play flex, you only play a comp when you're in the right spot for it, right? So you have a big advantage there. But the disadvantage you have is comp knowledge. You don't know exactly why something belongs there. You don't know all the exceptions to random rules, and it's showing a little bit right now. There's nothing wrong with it because we all are trying to sit here and become a little bit better at TFT, but this is one of those like small differences, again, that may add up over time. Do we need this area yet? If we get a Firelight emblem, I would want to play that, and this area would be absolutely incredible for that. So let's see what we get here. Almost have the Smeeches. Okay, these items are, disgusting. Horrible item. No, it's saved. The glove saves this. And then another spatula. Okay, that's pretty big. Okay, Savika, kind of useless. LeBlanc, not really useful either. They're probably going to get a Jinx here, right? Oh, no. Mordekaiser. That is unfortunate. So, okay. Yeah, sure. Just build the Tactician's Crown. You could build the Firelight stuff. You could also reforge one of the spatulas and build an Ambusher emblem. There's a lot of different options here. Like, let me try to, like, Sunfire Cape, fine. I think they really want to save one of the belts for an Even Shroud. That would have to be my guess. Do not reforge the hat. Please don't. It's Echo's best item. Okay. I mean, I know you don't have an Echo yet, but I would have reforged one of the bows or maybe the belt, because Rabadon's Death Cap, while not useful right now, is very useful later because, again, you need 2 carries in this comp. Smeech can't do it alone. And Echo is a very viable option because 1, he's an ambusher, and 2, like, Camille sucks, so this is your only option. All right, so these options kind of suck. Epitaph is pretty good though, so yeah, pretty good augments there. All right, roll down, try to get this Smeech 3. I'd get it right now because you're so close and you have so much gold. You want to spike with this because you don't want to fall behind everyone else when they spike later on. So you need to do a faster roll down. And unlucky. I'd go past 50 here, past 50. Yeah, but waiting. Okay, good. They do go past 50. Oh, they don't go that far past 50 though. I'd probably go to like 30 here. Like, you're so close. There we go. Hit the Smeech, very nice. Who gets this Nasher? It's probably Echo anyways. He just gets a worse item of what he had before. Yeah, no one's gonna be making that great use of it. The Sunfire Cape, I don't really understand either because you have the 2 bows. You could have built red buff on maybe your Jinx eventually, but I would have reforged maybe one of the bows. Like, bow's decent, but it's not great in this comp because it really only builds Titan's Resolve. And unless you have a lot of Chain Vest to kind of complement that, not really that great. That's why building the red buff I think is fine. And like, nothing wrong with Sunfire Cape, but we have to use our items based on what we get from the game. And yeah, this makes the items really, really awkward. I just don't know who this person is going to secondary carry. Is it going to be the Caitlyn? Is that the plan? Okay, we get a Powder 2-star there. Nice. Get another Garen. So they continue rolling. I wonder why. They're looking for the last Scar. Okay, there they go. See, if you're going for Scar 3, you need to build items for them. And kind of waiting before on the Warmogs kind of confuses me a little bit more now, if anything. But it's not the end of the world. I still think they could do like a fine placement here. Get a Firelight emblem off this carousel. They are going to be like one of the earlier picks, so that is nice. Wow, this person has 2 Rebel emblems. That's going to be really scary when they hit, was it level 9? Level 10? I forget what the cutoff is. It's 10 Rebel, right? Yeah. But it's going to take a while for them to get there, I'm guessing. So are they able to win this? Smeech should, right? Like, this person has like a Corki too. Wow, they lose. That's incredible. Ah, man. Rebels are fun, right? If you hit a lot of Rebel emblems and you're playing Rebels, that's going to be a lot easier. All right, get the glove here. There's a glove on Rennie for 3 gold, so that's going to be good. Are they going to go... Well, what are they going for? Oh, the Garen with belt. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Get the Warmogs Garen too. If you're playing for like the short term, this is nice. But I think like Firelight emblem is like one of the best emblems in the game. But getting this Garen too, he's a highly contested unit and you don't have much gold. Yeah, maybe Garen's better here. Okay, Warmogs on the Smeech, sure. Like, eventually you could shift those items onto Garen, but there just aren't enough items right now to go around. So hopefully later on, they're able to get it. Again, like, reforging the rods instead of, like, one of these bows, like, getting a tank item would not have been that bad, right? I also have no idea what this Echo is going to hold. It's going to be, like, a Nasher's Tooth, maybe a Titan's Resolve, and then they do want, like, one lifesteal item, but it doesn't really exist right now. But you can see here immediately already, like, you need the secondary carry with Smeech. He can't do it alone. He actually is getting demolished. So we're going to be at, like, less than 20 health going into the anomaly round. So there has to be some like godlike anomaly. By the way, I'd sell this entire bench because Loris 3 does not really matter. And all right, let's see. Call of the week. This one's okay. Not the best, but I think there are much better ones out there. But not much gold. Oh, that's tough. I'd probably skip this one, but if you took it, I wouldn't really fault you for it. Smeech doesn't really like need that specific of an anomaly. Normally something with like a damage amp is pretty good on him. Invisibility, pretty solid. This one is takeable though. Like, it's kind of like that borderline where you could take it or skip it, especially if you've seen the first one already. They end up taking it. Yeah, that's fine. Gets the echo. That's very big. So who do we take out? We take out that. Okay, sure. Yeah, sell the Caitlyn. Drop the ambusher maybe on... It doesn't really matter who, to be honest. None of the units really use it that well. Yeah, just put it on Scar for now. He's your 3-star. Always itemize your 3-stars, especially when you have like a lot of removers. They'll end up using it eventually. Whoa, 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 whoa. I would have put the bow on Echo, get a scrap item for that, instead of this spatula, because I know you could pop off the spatula after you build like whatever thing you want to build. Most likely it's going to be Firelight, but like we got a family emblem. Like, what's that going to do for us? You know, it's probably one of the worst scrap components to use ever because, well, you just don't have like every trait active, and ends up taking a loss here. Is that the game? 3 life still, so still in it. Again, I'd sell the rest of this bench. They're completely useless. Let's see what they get off these little things. They get a glove, they get 2 bows, a Leona. Okay, nothing that great. Sell everything, make the interest. Ugh, man, these items are just really hurting, aren't they? Oh, no. Okay, I feel a little bad now. I guess you could go maybe... I don't even know what you take there. All those are really bad. You could maybe like YOLO a Manazane and hope you get Jinx. That'd be really good on Jinx. All right, Titan's pretty good. Maybe this is salvageable. I don't know. It's probably not salvageable. Yeah, this is looking pretty bad. No Garen value there. I know they were trying to swap at the end really quickly, but probably should have done an emergency level up and just add any random unit in. They probably ran out of time though. I'm sure they would want to do that. Again, this is one of those flex versus force things. If you are a hard forcer of ambushers every single game, like you'd probably make that turn in like half the time this player did, and then you would be able to level up. But then you might also argue like, hey, the ambusher hard forcer or ambusher expert might go this comp in spots that are pretty bad for it. So it evens out in the end, whatever play style you choose in most cases. But obviously, like, it's best to play perfectly all the time, but we're human and there's a limited time, right? All right, level up here. Nice. Yeah, sure. Put in... I don't even know what to put in at this point. Like, yeah, just roll a little bit. Maybe get a random legendary or like a 6 cost. All right, Loris 3. Very nice. Second Echo might not be horrible. Just drop anything in at this point. Yeah, Sentinel's fine. I would buff up the health onto my Smeech, though. I don't really think the other tanks need even more tankiness. I'd rather get my Smeech buffed up a little bit because he's really the only carry on our team. There's no other carry in this comp, and you just need to buff him up as much as possible. This Echo's trying, but yeah, Echo's dying right away. He's also 1-star. I think you actually win this round, though, so that's pretty nice. This person kind of trapped himself in a corner, and you're able to kind of clean up. Okay. I don't know what place you're going to get. It's not looking great because you have 3 life, but you were able to steal around there. They're going to be rolling, but the only thing you could really hit is like a 6 cost or a Jinx to improve this board. The Echo 2 would be nice also, but like, yeah, I don't understand holding on to all these Camille's because like we just don't have items for all the units on our board, right? We have like a 2-star Garen with 1 item. We have a Loris with the artifact item, but 2 open item slots. Like whenever you build 3-star units, you need items on them, and if you can't get items on them, it's okay. Like if you get the 3-star for free, great, but if you have to roll for them like we did in this game, this person rolled for the Loris, it's not going to be that worth it in terms of gold efficiency. So little like small change like that means a lot. Like I think I learned this all the way back in set 1. Like I went for random 3-stars at the time. A lot of people did, right? Because the game just came out and people were just like going for 3-stars because they were fun. But then people were realizing like, hey, don't go for 3 stars unless I actually have items to put on them, and I followed that rule ever since this day. Okay, so what place did they get? 7th? Not the best. I think the early game had a lot to be improved on. It's a little risky with the items not slamming them, and maybe you could have bled out into a 5th. I think the one thing you did do well this game, though, is recognizing when to roll for the Smeech 3. I think that was good. And then if you didn't go for the other 3 stars, like maybe you would have more econ to hit other stuff. But let's go into the Challenger game now. Again, Spencer TFT. That's the player we're going to be watching. Check out his stream on twitch.tv. He's one of the first players to qualify for the World Championships based on how well they did in tournaments this set. So definitely a player to watch, one of the best players in the region, if not the world. And let's see what we can learn from him. How does he do Ambusher reroll a bit differently from like a Master 0 LP player? I kind of want to do this series where we compare like really high level players like this guy, maybe just like a random challenger player, maybe some GM players, like maybe some like plat players, compare each and every one of those ranks with the same comp. I think that'd be a fun thing to do, and we'll get to see how they navigate things a little bit differently. So let's see what they get at the start. Again, we know what comp they're, oh, okay, so they get a Smeech right away, so that's probably why they're going for this. So one pattern I noticed that's the same already. Both players only go for the comp when they actually get the units for it. So it makes perfect sense, right? That's what I say all the time. But I think in this game, we're actually going to see maybe some Chem Baron into Smeech. That could be very interesting. I have seen this before, and if you have not noticed already, one thing that he's doing differently from a lot of other players is that he's shuffling his units all the way around on his bench very quickly all the time. That must be why he is one of the best TFT players and we are not. All right, that's a joke, of course. So what doesn't kill you? Investment strategy and cluttered mind. I'd probably take what doesn't kill you if you have Chem Baron, because if you're looking to get Chem Baron stacks, like what's a better way to do that than what doesn't kill you, right? Because you want to lose all these rounds. But let's speak more about the Chem Baron version of this Ambusher build. So it's not like a strictly better build or a strictly worse build. It's just another possible build. You may have noticed in the last game. Oh, so that's so funny. He's like looking at the patch notes as he's playing. I'm guessing because he already qualified for the World Championships, which is not for a while. He's allowed to kind of take his time on the patch and not like read it before he plays. But one good way to get patch notes info is to listen to my video as you play, in case you don't want to read or don't like reading. So unfortunately, he actually won the first round. We weren't able to see that fight because he was reading the patch notes. So obviously that is not a good start if you're going Chem Baron, right? So only gets a 15 stack on there, but you pretty much just want to AFK most of this part anyways. Like he could build a Singe 2-star in his shop right now, you may notice that, but you don't need to do that. You want to actually just keep your units low level and keep lose streaking. That way you get more Chem Baron stacks. So we are on the carousel now. What item does he decide to get? Personally, for me, if I'm hard forcing this comp, which I don't know if I would at this point, I'd probably go some Chem Baron stuff. But if I'm hard forcing, yeah, you'd get the glove. But I don't think I would have actually picked that because I don't think I would be hard forcing Smeech from this spot. They did buff Chem Barons recently, so I'd probably try out if like going for the old Chem Baron would work. That's what I probably would have done. But I do kind of want to try out this Chem Baron Smeech build. It does look a little interesting. You just run like you know how, I was talking about this before I got sidetracked by the patch notes thing. You know how in the last game, how after you run the 5 ambushers and like the 2 watchers, like the rest of your comp doesn't really matter that much, right? So you have a lot of open slots on your team. So if you get Chem Baron, you might as well just fit it in there. So you don't necessarily combine the Chem Baron because it's good. You mainly just play it because like you need to play something and it's just one of the options. One important thing we could pick out is his scouting and making sure he loses. Luckily, everyone's stronger than him, but he always repositions every round. You want to try to kill 1 unit, and you also want to make sure that you lose, because you don't want to take like 50 unit losses. You want to lose gracefully as possible. Unfortunately, when you're only running 3 units, you can really only kill like 1 thing at best. So you just want to make sure all your units focus the same target. That's exactly what he's doing here. All 3 units targeted this Vander, and if they're able to kill it, it's going to be worth it, right? So ends up getting that result, saves 1 HP there, you know? Again, HP does add up over time. If you do this over the course of, let's say you go on like a 10 loss streak Chem Baron, you just saved yourself 10 life. And that means when you're in stage 4, you could afford to lose that 1 extra round to get you to 500 cash out or to get to 600 cash out, whatever it is, right? And that's why it's that important to kind of do these little things. From these orbs, he gets a huge bit of loot from that gold orb, lots of gold there. These items, man, these items are pretty bad, but he does a pre-level to level 6, very nice, stays above 50 gold. Let's see what else he gets. Gets a bow, okay. Not the best Smeech items. I wonder if he's just going to hard force this no matter what, though. I mean, we already know the answer to that because I know what comp he went based on his match history. But, all right, gets another Rennie. Does not get the 4th Chem Baron yet. Does not decide to roll for it either. I would agree with that. But normally in a Chem Baron meta, people are like super lose streaking all the time. I don't know if this other player, yeah, the other player in 8th place, you always have to scout them, is not lose streaking as well. So you probably could build like 1 or 2 items here. Maybe not all your items, but he's kind of making sure everyone else builds all their stuff first before committing to anything. And maybe he doesn't know what direction he quite wants to go into yet. Maybe he's thinking, I could do the regular Chem Baron from this spot, and maybe if I see a ton of Smeeches, then I go for the Smeech build. That's probably what he's thinking here, but we'll have to see what items he ends up building. If I were going the regular Chem Baron cash out build, I'd probably build a Morello. I really like that item on the Silco. Well, let's see what augment he takes here. So none of these are that enticing. Maybe Pandora's if you want to switch out all your items. Fire Cell's okay. I'm not a huge fan of any of these. I'd probably reroll Bandit Thieves, probably not running that, because when you have Chem Baron, you have a lot of items anyway, so you don't really need that. So I'd probably reroll that one. Maybe take Fire Cell. I don't know. That's too much money because you already have what doesn't kill you. These options aren't really that good. I think what he's thinking right now is he's probably debating Find Your Center for Smeech. That one might not be too bad. It's not like the best augment ever or anything, but it is interesting on him because when you only care about 1 or 2 units, stuff like Find Your Center, long distance pals are very nice to have because they buff up 1 or 2 units. So he goes for Find Your Center, so he is going to be re-rolling Smeech from this point. So this is the marker, I guess, for like hard forcing it. I don't know if he's just doing some experiments here, if he's just limit testing, because sometimes people do that, right? But build some Morello, okay, probably going for Silco there. Titans, okay. And saving the sword probably for Bloodthirster, and the glove probably for Handed Justice. I wonder what this other rod's going to build. Probably going to be something for Silco again, or maybe one of the frontline items. Maybe it'll be one of the Rabadon Death Cap components for the Echo. But loses this round there. You want to keep losing. You want to go for maybe like a 300 cash out when you do this. More than that can get a little bit greedy, but you always want to play around your health pool. Right now, 59 health. At this point in the game, if you lose the next 3, you'll get like a 9 loss streak. Maybe lose like 12 life each round. 12 times 3 is 36, so you'll be at around like 23 life. You could probably take 1 more loss then. Like you could go for something really big, but oftentimes with these reroll comps, they don't cap out as hard as the 4 cost builds and 5 cost builds. I talked about this a little bit on my tier list video this week. So that is one of the reasons why people go for like a 200 or 300 cash out. One, because like it's harder to get to 500 now because you don't have Chem Baron emblem anymore. It's removed from the game. And 2, you want to leave that like breathing room so that you don't just lose the game to the 1 high roller because your comp didn't scale hard enough. So you have some like more space to kind of play around with. Let's see what he takes on the carousel. I'd go for, oh, there's a pan. You could go for Ambusher. Yeah, probably just take that, right? I was about to say, I really want to see whether he goes for a Bloodthirster or a Handed Justice there, because both Negatron and Tier aren't the most useful items in this build when you do go for Ambushers, but obviously with the pan there, you just go for Ambusher emblem, and then it's GG. The black market, yeah, skip this one, go for a 300. Definitely have time to do this. And you also get the Renata. Maybe you could get Renata to stabilize later on. Well, I don't mean stabilize, but like save a little HP here and there. So actually ends up rolling here already level 7. Oh, never mind. That's why he's rolling. He's already level 7. How did you get to level 7 that quickly? That's crazy, right? It must be from what doesn't kill you. That augment gives you so much gold. It's actually ridiculous. Holds off on building the Ambusher emblem. I'm guessing they want to start their win streak before they do that. If not, you might risk winning a round. And they're facing off against a Dominator player. I really want to play Dominators this patch. They're doing a Cassiopeia build with the blue buff, Gnasher's Tooth, maybe a Cassiopeia Blitzcrank duo carry. That'd be interesting, 3 cost reroll. I want to try that build out a lot. I've been like wanting to play this since like 2 patches ago when they first buffed it. But the comp was so bad in the previous patches. I hope it's back now. But let's see, from the component, they get a Chain Vest, so they could build like an Edge Knight if they want there. Pretty good on other ambushers, does some rolling here, does a little bit of scouting, and they're actually going to sit. I'm surprised they're not rolling a bit more. Okay, there they are. They get another Smeech, gets a Garen, very nice. You could sell the extra 3 cost. Wow, that is a Jinx. Holy cow. All right, yeah, swap up the team a little bit. Hopefully this Jinx does a little bit of something. He actually drops one of the Chem Baron units, and that's because he's only doing a 300 cash out, so you pretty much automatically get it. You don't need the 4th Chem Baron in there for fun. And even if you win this round, you get to 300, because I think you get 15 per round if you win. So honestly, this round doesn't really matter that much. I think I'd still prefer losing to get that little extra gold bonus from the lose streak. But if you win this one, it's not the end of the world. So this is actually a great game to look at because it's a Chem Baron player that actually won the very first round. They're also checking their what doesn't kill you. Don't need any more losses there. So they got like a bunch of components. They got 2 components there from the 8 losses. And now we get to see how they actually play the game. All right, so unfortunately, you have to just take this shop. It's not the best, not the best. I've seen much better. I've seen much better. You wanted the ones with Smeech in it, obviously. They get a bunch of Rennies, you know, not the end of the world. And, okay, Voltaic Saber. Yeah, you have to put that on Smeech. What's the other one? The armor. Put that on your Rennie. No options there. And I think Voltaic Saber, yeah, it gives Omnivamp, so you don't actually need the Bloodthirster that badly. Does that mean he builds Edge and Knight? That's probably what I would build there, but let's see what the other items he gets is before we make that decisions. And I think with these items, you do build the Edge of Night because there's nothing else you can build with these items. All right, scouting around a little bit. Someone else is actually contesting Smeech. That really hurts. That really hurts a lot. I think it's a built different person, but man, that's rough. He's like in 8th place right now. I don't know what place he's gonna get. I don't think it's gonna be looking that great, to be honest, from this spot here. So tier on the Jinx, maybe build a Shojin. No, it has to be Edge of Night, right? Yeah, okay, Edge of Night. But you could use a tier for Jinx later on. Maybe get a sword off Carousel. Do you slam the Crown Guard because you want the sword for Jinx? How important is Jinx in general in this comp? Normally, I don't think she does that much in an Ambusher build because your team dies too quickly. She does really well in Rebels because you have a good front line that allows her to cast very often. And without the 3rd cast, which does a big explosion, she's obviously very, very weak. Let's see if she even gets that off in this fight. And yeah, exactly what I said happened. She's too weak to get that little big giant cast off. And when that happens, not the best unit, so you don't really need to play around her that much compared to, obviously, the Rebel build. Ambusher Crown, is that too many emblems? Coronation, I'm the carry now. I actually probably would have taken I'm the carry now. I actually think it's not Ambusher Crown because you already have one Ambusher emblem. And the next, yeah, he doesn't like it either. So you take Coronation. Like, the reason why you don't want 2 Ambusher Crowns or emblems is because it doesn't add much to your team. Like, you have to run Powder because she's a scrap with Echo, right? You have to run Echo because he's just good. And so if you have the +1 Ambusher, you just drop Camille. She's the only bad Ambusher. So you don't need the second one. So it's kind of a waste. So yeah, Tactician's Crown or whatever that thing's called. Coronation, very, very nice stuff. Does a big roll down here. Gets an Echo. You're really looking for the Smeech, but doesn't quite see that yet. Drops that in. I'd probably pop the Garen in over someone else, maybe the Elise. All right, that's going to be Rod. Okay, Crown Guard, very nice. And then the tier on Echo. And then puts the Coronation item on the Jinx. Coronation gives, I believe it's attack damage, ability power, and attack speed. So yeah, she's probably the best holder for that because she's able to use at least 2 of the stats. Most of the other people can only use like 1. Because Echo doesn't really care too much about attack speed, really only uses the AP. Smeech can use the attack damage and the attack speed, but he already has full items, so yeah, you just put it on Jinx. But he's going to be doing a few more rolldowns there. Gets the Elise 2. How does Garen fit in this build? It's going to be tough. I guess you have to level up to put in this Garen. Also is prioritizing the Singed over the other Chem Barons. And here he's going to dig. Probably because he's at 22 life. There's a Rennie. So he's 1 off Rennie now and 2 off Smeech. I would have rolled maybe just to 30 there. Or maybe waited 1 more turn before rolling. I probably would have rolled on 4-5. This is looking rough. I don't think this game's going to end up that great for him. Let me know down in the comments what place you think this player is going to get. Try not to cheat by looking at how much time is left in the game, because obviously that's the best way to do it if you were to cheat. But is this Smeech cooking with these items like the Voltaic Saber? It's like a good item on Smeech, but is it like that great enough to sacrifice all your HP for? I don't really know. But I guess when you do reroll comps, you often do it from a lose streak start anyway, so this is kind of like a added bonus. All right, what do they get off this carousel? Probably that Jinx, right? Looking pretty juicy there. You could even item remove and build a Shojin, but someone else takes that, so that's pretty unfortunate. Do you go for the glove? I'd probably go for the glove, yeah. Build a Hand of Justice on Echo makes perfect sense. In this next shop, nothing much there. Since we rolled so much already, yeah, I was about to say, you probably have to continue rolling because you're one off 2 things. Actually, 3 things. You're one off, no, 4 things. You're one off Garen, Echo, Smeech, and Rennie. See, that's when people roll a lot. When you're low health and when you have a lot of like one-offs. Normally I say roll when you have a lot of pairs, but here he has super pairs because he had 8 copies for the 3-star units that he was trying to go for. So here he's facing off against, was this a Black Rose? No, this is a Dominator player with the blue buff Cassiopeia. Yeah, after hitting all your 3-stars, you're going to be very solidified in your board. Probably going to win the next couple of rounds. Now the game's looking a lot better, but obviously at low life, anything can happen. Okay, Attack Expert. This one's okay. If you don't have much gold, I could see him taking it. I personally would re-roll this, go for something a little more greedy. But if he takes this, I wouldn't be surprised. He's kind of looking at how much bonus AD he's getting. But normally when I build my frontline units, I don't like this that much because it's essentially putting a Deathblade on them, and you wouldn't build Deathblade on your Smeech, right? Okay, there's the damage amp when he skips Bully. Interesting. I probably would have taken Bully. Infectious Anomaly. This one's just generically good. Yeah, he's probably just going to take that. Probably skip the Shimmer, get the bonus health instead. I don't see how these help him that much. I personally would skip, yeah. I am really surprised he skipped Bully, though. That's what I would have taken. Because normally when I'm VOD reviewing people and they're playing ambushers, they often go for the damage amp ones a lot of the time. So maybe he was scouting around. There are probably other rerollers, so it gets a little bit less value. That's what I would guess, at least. But obviously, Infectious Anomaly, very, very good anomaly. So it ends up working out. But probably going to win this round. Very nice. From the chicken camp, he's going to get sword, a belt, Vi. Okay, probably selling that, get to 40 gold. And the anvil. All right. What items does he need? He needs 1 echo item and like 1 jinx item. Maybe some tank items. That's going to be it. Levels up to drop the Garen in, obviously. He scouted around, see if his units are contested, then decided to roll. Okay. Notice he does the items last. I see a mistake that a lot of players make whenever we do VOD reviews is that they do the items first and then they run out of time. The reason why you want to play your regular turn first is because you could put items on people during the fight while you can't like re-roll your units during the fight. I mean, you can, but you can't put them on your board. Opposite go for Guard Breaker, Giant Slayer makes a lot of sense. Both of them give damage amp. And yeah, Echo with Hodge, Guard Breaker, very solid combo. Crown Guard, like his Echo looks very bootleg because it looks like he has a bunch of random garbage items on him, but they're actually pretty good items. Like I'm not just saying that because he's building it. They're just solid stuff, especially when you don't need him to like hard carry. If you're playing like a solo echo carry or like duo echo carry with 2 echoes, like you probably need something else like a Rabadon's Death Cap. But in this case where he's relying mainly on Smeech, he's got like solid items on his Jinx. You don't need like absolutely perfect items. All right, rolling down a little bit here. Gets another powder, don't really care about that. Really just looking for this Garen and Echo. Gets the Echo, that's pretty big. His Infectious Anomaly has infected most of the units on his board. So this is where he's going to be quite strong. I believe they actually nerfed this anomaly in the recent patch, but most people still think it's pretty good. And he's facing off against Twisted Fate Reroll. That comp looks really fun. I want to try it after the new buffs to Akali, because obviously the patch did come out recently. And is he able to win this one? Okay. Very close stuff. Okay, unable to. Luckily, he has a little bit of a health pool to kind of play around with. Going to be at 9 life now. That's not looking too good. Luckily, his board's still strong right now because he has all his 3-stars. He just got the 2-star Echo, just missing the Garen. So I'm thinking he could actually pull out maybe a 4th if he gets lucky on one fight. Most likely, it's probably going to be a 5th, but if he, like, yeah, this person's pretty weak, right? He's got 1-star Garen, 1-star Mundo, 1-star Vi. He should win this round. Like, this person just does not have an upgraded board. So that's one good matchup. So probably solidifies a 5th already through this. And maybe a 4th, maybe a 4th. We'll see. The Twitch gets demolished, and GG to that guy. He's still in the game. So he rolled down very early, the player he's facing. I wonder why he did that, because he rolled down and doesn't have any upgrades still, but he has like decent life pool. Maybe the other players could have waited a little bit to roll. I don't know. All right, so here you don't really need any of these items. Maybe a tank item. He's going to go for, it looks like the Bloodthirster, but I don't know who that's going to go on because he already has items on all his characters. Personally, I'd go for a tank item for the Rennie. Is he going to Bloodthirster Rennie? Oh, he's going to item remove. Probably put the Titans on Rennie and then do Edge of Night, BT plus Voltaic Saber. Okay, that makes sense. I don't know if you need to double up on lifesteal on Smeech, but I guess what he's thinking is any improvement on Smeech is very, very welcome because he has Center of the Universe and also he has a main focus on his main carries this game rather than kind of spreading out the love. So any improvement on Smeech is very welcome. That's what I would have to guess. So he's 5th now. He's facing off against Zeri Reroll. It's a ghost though, so he is getting a little lucky. Maybe he can sneak out a 5th because I think the Zeri board actually beats him in most cases. But if you're facing the ghosts, you probably just win, right? Because ghosts are generally weaker. Because you can't damage them if you win, right? So it's only fair that that's the thing. But that's not actually the reason why ghosts are weaker. Apparently, they're just weaker because of a bug long, long ago, and they just never bothered to fix it and kind of just kept the system this way because it does make sense, right? Based on what I said. And wow, yeah, he might actually sneak out a 4th. That's crazy. Good matchmaking can do that sometimes. Well, I guess that's not entirely fair. Like, he did have good matchmaking, but his board also is really, really strong too. Like, he's got so many 3 stars. He's got the Chem Baron cash out. He's got extra units because of the Tactician's Crown and the emblem. So his board's very strong too. I'm not trying to detract from that, but sometimes in TFT, you get a little unlucky here and there, and then all of a sudden you're in 6th place. But he ends up winning this round also. And does this other guy... Wait, no, he loses this round. Ah, is it a 5th? Ah, it's a 5th. That's crazy. I thought he got... No, it's a 4th. It's a 4th. Okay. I was about to say, like, I thought he was going 5th like 2 or 3 rounds ago. But then after the 2 good matchups, I was like, oh, maybe it is a 4th. And then like it looked like it was going to be a 5th and then surprised at the end. But let's recap a bit. What did this player do that was so different from the Master Zero LP player? Well, first things first, I think Spencer played around his early game a lot better. He like fully committed to the lose streak and also like the other player had a chance to win streak instead. So I think playing based on what you get in your opener matters a ton. Another difference was flexing his comp knowledge, like knowing all the different versions of one build means a lot if you can play it in a lot of different spots rather than just the more mainstream normal way to play it. He also did a lot of the other little things such as taking out 4 Chem Baron for 3 Chem Baron when the next round it didn't really matter if he got a 40 or 15 Chem Baron stack. And then lastly, I think the positioning was a lot better in this game compared to the Master game. Like obviously that's going to be the case, right? Like, oh wow, a Major League Baseball player plays a lot better than the high school baseball player. Like no crap, right? Like, but I think this was like a very clear example of that early game positioning where the 3 units focused the Smeech and killed the 2-star Smeech early. And we compared that to what Spencer did where he combined his 3 units to focus on that Vander to get that 1 extra life. That way his Chem Baron lose streak isn't that detrimental. Small differences like that add up over time a lot. And also the Master player, like in the late game, he like messed up his Garen positioning a ton. His Smeech was always in weird spots. Also, they both had a lot of 3-star units, but you notice Spencer, he had items for all his 3-star units, whereas the Master Zero LP player didn't have enough time to kind of get to that point where he could actually get enough items for all his 3 stars to use them effectively, which means he probably wasted a lot of gold that game. All these things combined like really make the difference between like a Master player versus someone who's going to be playing in the World Championships of TFT, right? But this was a very interesting experience. I definitely learned a lot. Let me know down in the comments below, do you like these comparison videos more where we do VOD reviews of like different ranks, or do you just like the solo VOD reviews? Like let me know down in the comments below. I'll try to do more of whichever. But that's going to be it for me today. Hopefully you all enjoyed this video. Go check out Spencer's channel, twitch.tv/Spencer_TFT. And also don't forget to check out teamfight.lol for all your data needs and bunnymuffins.lol/meta for your comp needs.